Hey, it's the Chief Bonding with Board Games and RPGs. We are back to everybody funneling back towards HQ. Photo coming up now from the graph paper drawing that I made many episodes ago. So, Major McGiffin, First Sergeant Watson, First Sergeant Wilson, bringing them all back in, but not everybody is alive anymore, and not everybody got the message, one way or the other. Now, before we go any further, please don't forget, subscribe, hit the like button, turn on the bell if you want notifications. I do live shows not as often as I used to, but I'll still do a vlog every now and then, and I'm going to do a live after the completion of this season, which, with this collapsing back in, I feel like it's starting to move. It will move a little faster, because now we've got Krieg, who's gone outside the wire. I'll pop over to that, and then we've got this group together inside the wire. So McGiffin's folded them back in on him. Rough estimations, I've got 52 U.S. troops in that area. McGiffin had about 20 with him. Some of them are clerks, some of his senior NCOs and officers that are there. The calling of those that were out on the perimeter to come back, some of which had been killed, some of which maybe didn't even get the message, but they're coming back. We know Pacheco has come back with the orphans. He brought back the howitzer, that crew of 5, and the gun itself. Maybe not much ammo. We'll see. Sanchez came back, and I even thought he might run into somebody or a group that had bypassed him. He did not. So that's where we're at. We are with the U.S. troops and a few of the PIM-GEM, almost said Bartek, PIM-GEM operators at that HQ. I want to first kind of check the mood. McGiffin, Major McGiffin, so I'm using the Mythic emulator, Tanya Pigeon, random events, the fate chart for yes or no questions, and I've got my summary of resolving scenes. Under some of the threads, I had that there was some tension between Major McGiffin and Krieg, and that there was a little bit of panic in him. So animosity is what I have listed, and he had a little bit of panic over the radio at one point. But he's folded them back in. I'm curious. I want a special event, or I'm going to go to the event, meaning action, and subject. I want to kind of get the feeling of Major McGiffin as he's pulling these guys in. You know, are we dealing with some type of panic? Is it Major, maybe First Sergeant Wilson's kind of front and center taking control? And I think I'll get a feel by rolling on the random events or rolling on the table here. 92 is Vengeance. Ooh, so that's almost like a little bit of Predator anger building up. We'll see though. Vengeance, and 52, Dispute. Vengeance, Dispute. Well, that's simple. That tells me that Major McGiffin is still just hot under the collar, that Krieg went out the wire, hasn't been able to be reached. These troops that are coming back in from the north wall are talking about that other than the one car bomb that took out the 105, they handled their business. And all of a sudden, boom, they could see him going across the road. And they haven't heard from him since. And he's, irritated. He's talking about it, so he doesn't seem all that focused. I can see First Sergeant Wilson sitting there just like he's gone. He's outside the wire. We got business to take care of here. Let's get to it. First Sergeant Wilson doesn't wait. He doesn't need the major to tell him what to do. He knows exactly what to do. So he makes that proclamation, and he starts assigning the new arrivals to positions. He's also grabbing clerks and putting guns in their hand. Guys that were monitoring radios no longer need to. Everybody's coming in. If they didn't get the message, they'll either make do where they're at, or they'll start beating feet here once the fire starts to increase in the center of the compound. So you've got M16s being put in clerks' hands. You know what I picture? I want to see Pacheco showing up, the scene that we're going to open with. He's bringing his Humvee. He's up in the 50 turret, faced 180 degrees back towards the threat. He's got some guys hanging around on top of the Humvee in different spots because he's bringing back the 5-man crew from the howitzer, and he's got the howitzer in tow. As the howitzer shows up with the Humvee, Pacheco starts giving directions to the crew. Let's get it unhooked. He sees the first sergeant. First sergeant, where you want it? I think this needs to be random. No, matter of fact, it doesn't. The first sergeant is still concerned. He knows they lost the 105 off the north side there in that little circle area. And I think he positions it in the roadway in such a way. Now, you do have the hospital blocking the HQ area, but I think he's going to put it up just to the west of the hospital building in the road to kind of cover that north side. I don't know. He's got a hunch. So the 105 is positioned there. He actually has Pacheco drive the Humvee around, get it in the spot, unhook it. They wheel it around. First Sergeant Wilson starts telling that 5-man crew, hey, we got some more 105 shells. We don't have a bunch, but get them up there with the gun and get a good field of fire. Boom, the 105's in position. Pacheco's getting the kids unlimbered from outside the Humvee, and First Sergeant Wilson says, Pacheco, you and the kids, I want you up on the roof. Get some spots. Use the sandbags that are in place. Pacheco moves over to a ladder that gives him and the orphans access to the roof. We'll come back to them in a second. I think there's a general. I won't break down every single position. It's a long rectangular area that needs to be covered. It can be rather difficult. But First Sergeant Wilson starts putting U.S. troops that are under his command in Humvees. He's got one up far supporting the 105. So he wants somebody up there with a gun supporting the 105. It's kind of out there on the edge a little bit. And then he starts putting, he's got Humvees to cover the northeast corner, the southeast corner, and the southwest corner. And then he fills in some troops just along the way in kind of like some hasty defensive positions. Sometimes it's, it might be a tractor tire you're making cover behind, or it could just be a wall or some brick. So there's some general getting ready. They know the fuse overrun and the farm's gone off comms, and they could hear the volume of fire, and they're preparing for what's going to happen there. So the question is, let's slide up to Pacheco and the kids. And I know the kids are probably coming down off their adrenaline rush, and that's a rough time. And I picture Pacheco with his, he was a SWAT guy, he was a police officer. I think he recognizes this, and I picture him putting each of the kids in place for their positions. I think he sees Alec, who's the youngest, the 10-year-old, asks him if he's hungry, needs some water, and he's kind of, he's got a little bit of gunpowder soot on his face, and I can see Pacheco kind of licking his hand and rubbing his face and then using his shirt and kind of cleaning him up a little bit. And he says, he puts them in each of a spot, and I picture them covering off they're in the corner of the northwest part of the building. So they would be overlooking, they can see the 105 and a Humvee up in that area, and kind of the armory's right below them there. And they've got a good spot. They're covering over the parking lot. And Pacheco puts them on their spots, checks their rifles real quick, makes sure that they're topped off with their mags, and he says, hang tight, stay low, I'm going to go get us something to drink and maybe an MRE or something. And he disappears and is gone, but comes back quickly because I want to stay with these kids. So we got Alec, who he's cleaned his face. Edek is the 12-year-old. and Casimir, the 16-year-old. I think he saddles up to Casimir first. Well, he gets canteens. He's grabbed a canteen for each of the three and throws them some MREs. And the kids have had MREs before. There's been enough military action going on that whenever they can get a hold of an MRE, they know what to do with it. But then he saddles up to Casimir. And he asks him, how's he doing? And I want to just see, or he says, are you doing okay? And I'm just going to go with a 50-50. You know, how is he doing? Adrenaline rush, he's coming down. It's hard to stay elevated for that long. 50 even. So he says, yeah, doing all right. You know, I'm glad you're here. And he says, I'm glad, Pacheco says, I'm glad you're here. And I think we're going to need all three of you before the night's over, and I'll stay up here with you. Pacheco slides down to Edic, kind of does the same thing. Checks in with him. You know what? Hold on. Before he slides down, Casimir's the 16-year-old. Well, it's the closest I got for our whiskey show, Scotch Test Dummies, by the way. We've got these ceramic challenge coins. Big thing military, big thing police. Not usually ceramic. We usually have the metal ones. I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right. So, and I'll throw these up on the screen. I've got one from Boeing here. It's an all-military coin, and I don't remember where I picked this up. But most of these are through police. So I've got a metal challenge coin from Boeing. All right, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. So we have a fan of the show that flew F-15 Strike Eagles. And so he sent the show a challenge coin that has his unit in here, and then wherever they were based at, I don't know, it must be Saudi Arabia somewhere. So, and a big old whiskey tuber coin. So I like this one in particular. So it wouldn't be this one, of course. It would be an old SWAT coin that Pacheco has in his pockets. The way these work is, at least in the military, when you get a challenge coin, it's because you exceeded at something, and maybe a command sergeant major or maybe a general is doing an inspection, and sometimes they'll shake your hand and pass off a coin to you, or sometimes it'll be presented to you for some type of achievement. In the police department, different units will go out and buy a bunch of challenge coins, and then they sell them usually to a bunch of other law enforcement or people that just like challenge coins, and then they use the money to buy gear or to host a Christmas dinner or whatever. So over the years, they'll make money off their coins. So a lot of cops will have cool coins in their pockets that they just purchased. But this particular coin, not this one, but this one in the on the roof, Pacheco's talking to Casimir, and he reaches into his pocket. The tradition is usually if you're at a bar and someone pulls out a challenge coin, you better have a challenge coin too. You put it out or you got to buy a round. Obviously, that's not what's going on here, but guys will carry the challenge coins in their pocket. And Pacheco pulls out a challenge coin from the SWAT team he was on. If I remember right, he was from New Hampshire. Yep, New Hampshire. So we don't know exactly which city. Maybe it was New Hampshire State Police. I don't know. But he tells Casimir, hey, you did a good job. You're doing a good job. I want to give you a challenge coin for my SWAT team that I've been carrying throughout this whole mess. It's traveled all the way from New Hampshire right here to Niesno, and it's yours now. You put it in your pocket, you take care of it. And he reaches out, does the handshake thing, and Casimir shakes his hand, and it's like that mano-a-mano kind of deal. Takes it, puts it in his pocket. And they lock eyes, and he says, you did well, and we're almost through it. Just hang tight, keep an eye on your brothers, and I'll help you all the way through. And then Casimir kind of looks refreshed, kind of looks recharged, holds it, gives it a squeeze, puts it in his pocket, and starts pulling out magazines for his M16 and getting them ready. Pacheco slides on down the line, checks on Edic. Same deal, make sure he's grabbing something to eat, make sure he's getting something to drink. I think he grabs his M16 and just kind of wipes it down, runs it through a little functions check, make sure it's looking good, locks the bolt, checks it, hands it back, and says, finish eating, make sure you get plenty to drink, and just clean this up, stay alert, and be ready. He doesn't have any more challenge coins in his pocket. Slides down and checks on Alec. I think Alec's having a hard time at 10, maybe getting one of those little pouches open. So Pacheco slides in, grabs it from him, tears it off, gets the spoon out of Alec's hand, gets it out of the plastic, kind of stirs it up. And I don't know what the current MREs have. Well, I'm blanking now, but we'll say this is like a little goulash deal. It has little noodles in it, meat, sauce, cheese sauce, little bits of hamburger. He stirs it up, hands it back, and says, eat this up, drink plenty of water. There's a lot of salt in this, but you need that. You need that salt. Kind of just checking him. He then grabs his Alex M16 and just field strips it real quick. So, you pop it, shotgun it, basically, pulls the bolt, and just starts cleaning Alex's rifle, the 10-year-old's rifle for him while Alex's eating. Gets them all taken care of. Just really spending that time with them. Gets them all squared away. They've eaten. They're ready. He's talked to them. He's firmed them up. And he even tells them, hey, one at a time, make a head call. Go out, hit the bathroom, latrine, go, even if you're not quite fully ready at this point in time. That's good. Let's switch off of, I don't think we're going to have the mad attack rush at this point in time. But we'll check. I want to pull over to Sanchez. Sanchez is on a 50. Where are we putting Sanchez? Let's just put him on the opposite. I think he just gets he's coming up from the south, so he takes the southwest portion directly, opposite the rectangle from Pacheco. And they're not even within hailing distance of each other. They're not great buddies or anything anyway. Sanchez is just, I think he's enjoying the fight. I think everything about him is just, he's always wanted to get into it. He's rough and tumble. And I think he's almost enjoying himself. Not in like a sadistic way, but he's getting the adrenaline rush, and so far, although he's been under fire, it's not like he's experienced what LeFew was going through. So, I think everything's tidied up. First Sergeant Wilson has a tight perimeter. You've seen the map. I am curious. I think what we'll do, knowing where we have some positions and that we have this grid hex with this map, I think the group that's come in, or maybe slightly off map somewhere, is a few mortar rounds come in, and they're dialed in on HQ. So let me get that map, and we're going to determine where 10 mortar rounds land, and then we're going to move back to Krieg. All right, nice and easy. We've got 10 north and south, and 6 east and west. So I'm going to just roll. I've got a 6-sided die and a 10-sided die, and I'm going to just quickly record the coordinates, and then I will mark them on the map, and we will see. So I'm going to speed this up with that little chipmunk voice.
We've got that, and I'll always do the 6-sided first. So 4 and 6, 5 and 10. So I don't even know where these are landing. We've got 6 and 2, and 1 and 2, 7 and 3. Oh, sorry, 3 and 7, and 1 and 2. Wow, that area got hit twice. We'll see who's in there, if anybody. 3 and 4, 4 and 9. 2 and 6. And the last one, we'll do 10 hits. 10 hits. 2 and 7.
All right, let me plot these, and then I'll show a big picture of them. All right, you're seeing the photo now, and the one burst that actually lands right in the parking lot between the PIM gym, which is the hospital, and the corner of the building, which is the armory, is actually pretty darn close. The A in armory there is exactly where Pacheco and the kids are at. That is close enough that I'm going to roll and see if any fragments from that. That one's very, very close. The rest of them may have done some damage. The one that's all the way down at the bottom, that's an open area, that's near the kitchen. It could have wounded somebody, and the other one, the arrow down that's on the road that's just kind of up and to the left of that. I'll check and see if those wounded other folks. Other than that, Major McGiffen's mad because the barracks or the home he stays in got hit. But I want a yes or no question on, and we're going to go 50-50, which means 75% chance that one, either Pacheco or one of these kids is injured. 75% chance. Oh, 70 even. 70 even. So that's a yes. So now the question is, who? And 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 with Pacheco will go by age. So Pacheco would be the 2, 1, 2, and then we'll just go by age. Who's wounded? 2, Pacheco. Wow. Pacheco is wounded in some way. I want to see, where is Pacheco wounded? Man, so this will be, this is a die that's just going to say, is it head, chest, arms, or legs? This is the head. Whoo! This could be very bad. We're going to go to the cards here. We're just going to go to the cards. And this is going to be, if it's an ace, then, I mean, he's killed on the spot. If it's a 2, it's, a nick. Frag got a piece of his ear. And graduating down. So any face cards will be very serious head injury. Probably let's do this. Any face cards is death. Any face cards, he's killed. And if it's 2, 3, 4, or 5, then it's going to be minor with degrees. And then that middle area, we'll just have to deal with. All right. Whoops, I saw that one. So let's do a little more shuffling. Matter of fact, this one's got me nervous. I've got to do a bridge shuffle. Pacheco just had this great, hello, don't blow around, great moment with Casimir. Presented the coin. Well, maybe that coin becomes something very, very important to Casimir. Wow. All right, that's enough. Let's do it. Whatever this is. Oh, it's a jack. Oh, God. Well, that's it. So Pacheco is killed right there. Wow. It's an interesting way to end. But when a mortar, in this session, when a mortar goes off and the rounds fly, and the way I picture it is I can see, let's just go see how this would go. So I think that might have even been the first one to fall. I think it was. Yeah, 4 and 6. So Pacheco's up moving around and taking care of the kids and just kind of uncling them. And while he's up and moving, the kids are down, sandbagged, but Pacheco's up and walking around on that roof, and that first mortar shell comes into the parking lot, not too far away, goes off, and the way they burst up, he catches a pretty large fragment straight to the head and just drops. And Casimir and the kids kind of swarm on him, but realize he's just not there anymore. And it was over that quick. Gone. I'll be honest with you, I kind of had ideas of Pacheco and the orphans if they made it out of this. maybe having our own solo run. Didn't think it would end up there. Well, we'll close the scene right there. Goodness. All right. So long, Pacheco. I think Casimir's kind of holding that coin in his pocket.